All right, March 27th, 10:50. This is for the people that want to become better squirrel hunters. Maybe you're new at it. Maybe you've just been doing it for 4 or 5 years. Maybe you think you've got it all figured out. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. Now, back when I was younger, and this probably applies to most people, and I did start off using iron sights, and there's some people out there probably still shoots them. But generally, the human being's eyes, as they progress with age, the eyesight becomes worse, with few exceptions. A lot of times you're going to see squirrels in trees. This could happen on the ground with some obstruction. You can't see what you want to aim at on that squirrel. You can see maybe the feet moving if he's eating a hickory nut, but you can't see his head. Maybe you can see his tail, and you can't see his body. Now, rifle scopes here, this is where they really shine. All right? So you get to sit there, and that squirrel, you know, you've got a pretty good idea where he's at. But you can't see, maybe you're a head shooter. I like to shoot heads on squirrels a lot of times. But I can't see the head. But I can see his front feet moving. I might even see the nut he's gnawing on. Maybe I can't see the nut. Maybe I can't see his front feet moving. You will, a lot of times in a hickory tree, you know, when the leaves are still on, that's what you'll see a lot of times. You'll see them feet moving. Movement, you know, that gives away a lot to the human eye, more so. Versus, you know, the way the color scheme works with the leaves and the squirrel. So you get to sit there. What you have to do is you have to figure out, where's the head? And in doing so, you have to figure out what position is that squirrel in exactly, because they can be in about any position. They can be upside down, meaning literally turned upside down on a limb. They can be upside down as far as the tail being down, their tail being up. They can be scratching a flea and be twisted, have their head back closer to their back legs almost. So what you get to do is you get to sit and try to figure out where that head is, for example. Or you get to try to figure out where can you place a vital shot on that game animal. So this wouldn't necessarily apply necessarily to the head. So it helps to have a good understanding of the squirrel's length, average, and how their back legs and their front legs and their head, how all of those are generally associated with one another. If you'll go back and look at some of those videos I posted using a trigger cam and an HM2 rifle, I made quite a few shots where I guessed where the head was. And you can even see on the camera, you can't see the head in that scope. But when I touched the trigger on that rifle, watch what happened. Squirrel fell out, DOA. Now, disclaimer here, don't be doing this in areas where, like city parks, areas where children and things like that can be climbing around in trees. You need to be, you know, you still need to be sure of your target per se, okay? So the squirrel is up there and you see him and maybe he moves on you. He runs out on the end of that limb to get a nut and he comes back and he sets back down. You're like, well, I can't see his head. Oh, I see them little front feet are moving. Oh, I see his tail hanging down. Can you guess and make a successful shot? You certainly can. I've done it quite a bit. Now, you can guess wrong sometimes, and I've done that too. Now, one more disclaimer here. Somebody did make a comment in one of my videos where I did what I've talked about in this video. And I was using a 17 HM2. You know, that's a 17 grain bullet running around 2100 at the muzzle, feet per second. And that bullet is pointed with that little plastic tip on the front of it. So you can get deflections. But the sharpshooter's take on this, comparing this to an air rifle, shooting 18 grain pellets, running about 935 feet a second, I probably wouldn't want to do this, what I've talked about in this video, much with an air rifle using pellets. You need more of a clear path to your target, intended point of impact. 22 long rifle, 17 HM2, 17 HMR, you can probably get away more with what I've talked about in this video. Alright, now you won't always be successful, but I had a pretty good high percentage rate of being successful. But, you know, I sort of understand the limits, okay? And you may have to do some of that with your trial and error in the woods. That's going to conclude the video.